You are listening to episode 10 of the Dork Age podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about the new Rogue One trailer, the new Corey Feldman Today Show appearance.
I couldn't believe that there was another
Twice
one.
in what, 3 weeks? 4 weeks?
Already,
Wow.
yeah.
Rockstar Games again teasing a Red Dead Redemption sequel.
Potentially.
The new South Park, last week in South Park.
Yeah.
We're going to do a retro review
Mm.
of The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
And
People might be wondering why. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. And then we'll do an update on the current political crisis we're in with the election. But first, the most important thing is Rogue One new trailer debuted this week.
Hell of a lot of new footage.
Hell of a lot of new footage and more insight into the story than we've had this far. So now we know that the main character, what's her name?
Shoot, I completely.
I
blanked on it.
Jen or so, or something like that? Something weird like that.
It's a Star Wars name.
It's a Star Wars name. Anyway, her father actually played a big part in the building construction of the Death Star.
Apparently.
So now we understand a little bit of the motivation.
Exactly.
And it opens up this trailer with kind of a dream sequence that she wakes up from. And we don't really get a whole lot of those in the Star Wars movies, especially in the original trilogy.
Exactly. And the closest thing we've got even in Force Awakens are like
visions. And you know, in the prequels you'd had Anakin's visions and stuff like that. But this seems more of like a flashback, which is interesting and kind of is going to set itself. I can see a lot of things here that are already setting itself apart from the trilogy, which I think is a good thing because you don't want people to think that this is, this isn't one of the episodic Star Wars, but technically it is a prequel.
It takes place in the universe, and it helps build the entire Star Wars universe.
But isn't it crazy how Rogue One looks more like a Star Wars movie than any of the prequels that we got?
Yeah.
They keep a lot of the old fashions and imagery and make it look like all old, kind of like the New Hope does. Whereas the prequels, everything looks shiny and new. And that really took me out of it.
And it doesn't hurt that, the Rogue One story takes place probably 2 weeks before Luke Skywalker becomes active.
I hadn't thought about that. I mean, it could be 2 weeks, could have been 2 months. How quickly does things move?
Well, I mean, you see the Death Star fully completed in the Rogue One trailers. So
yeah, and they test it for the first time
in
blowing
up Alderaan.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out and what characters in this are going to die. That's going to be the big question is what characters are we going to fall in love with throughout this movie that are going to die at the end, because
none of them are in.
We know that they risked their lives to get this information to the rebellion. So
we know that Mon Mothma doesn't die because she's
and that's
in
the same
Return
actress,
of the Jedi.
And she looks incredible.
She is the same actress that played her in a deleted scene in The Phantom Menace.
And in Return of the Jedi.
I don't think it's the same original actress that played her in
original actress.
It
is the same original actress. If that is
true, that blows my freaking mind.
It's true. Your mind is blown.
It is.
30
years.
So I am so happy about the new Star Wars stuff that we've gotten, especially after the prequels came out. And it seems like they're throwing all this stuff at us. And whenever Disney first bought it, a lot of friends of mine, at least, were kind of, they're going to ruin it. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Have you watched any of the Marvel movies lately? They're fantastic. They're great. So it's really relieving to me as a Star Wars fan to see things like this that, really just kind of reignite that passion that I have for the franchise.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely understand that. Something else that really speaks to me is that we're getting some more Mads Mikkelsen.
Right, you've got such a hard-on for this dude.
That dude, he is an amazing actor, especially if you've seen him play Hannibal Lecter in the series Hannibal. He's great in that.
I have not
seen
that.
But he's playing the villain in Doctor Strange.
Which comes out, next month?
Yeah, next month.
Nice.
And then a month after that, he's playing Jyn Erso's father in Rogue One.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So apparently Ewan McGregor is interested in doing a couple of Obi-Wan Kenobi films. Do you think that they would bring him in for that?
It could be interesting. Because, surely he didn't spend all of Luke's childhood on Tatooine.
Right. And what
Maybe
about
he
Jimmy
went-
Smits? Is
Yeah.
there going to be a Jimmy Smits cameo in this one?
Jimmy Smits is supposed to be doing Bail Organa for Rogue One.
And this will be the first movie that we've gotten out of the new ones that there's going to be a direct connection to the prequels. If you have watched any of the special features on the Force Awakens DVD or Blu-ray, they really make a point to not mention the prequels whatsoever,
Right.
except for when they're talking to John Williams, and he mentioned that he had scored his 7th Star Wars movie so far. and that's the only time it mentions that there's 7 instead of just 3. Because
those other 3 exist.
Right, if you watch the special features in all of the Star Wars Force Awakens stuff, it's almost exclusively about the original trilogy. So we'll see how it is. I guess Disney understands that the prequels don't have as big of a fan base, but there are fans of it, unfortunately.
Of course. Yeah.
A lot of the younger generation seems to really appreciate those. And I just don't see how, after watching the prequels, and then if you watch the original trilogy afterwards, you can't be like, wow, these 3 are actually like really good. These 3 are a lot better. But who knows? The older I get, the more it seems like I'm just falling out of touch with people younger than me. So,
Remember Star Wars?
We'll get into that. Okay, so are we ready to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Corey Feldman back in the spotlight
Already.
again.
It's been like 2 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. I can't tell. It's been a whirlwind of emotion for me. And Corey Feldman's rise to stardom, restardom, I guess. Retardum. I couldn't help myself.
You couldn't.
But so he came out with another song on the Today Show again. So they've had him on again. And they even mentioned in the interview before the performance, which unfortunately you didn't get to see that, about the viral reaction and everyone's negative reaction. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive and this is a blessing and all this kind of stuff. And he sings this song called Take a Stand, which obviously it is a inspirational ballad. But
I guess those are 2 words that could technically describe what I just watched.
The performance was so bizarre, though, and it's almost as if he's trying to crank it up. He's like, well, the last one, they freaked out because it was weird. This one's going to be even weirder. It definitely, I think he took the criticism of it didn't look like the girls were playing their own instruments. He took that to heart because it looks like they are playing their own instruments, especially the guitar player. Unfortunately, she's not a very good guitar player. And all I could think about when I was watching her and they would like kind of pan to her or her doing her little guitar solo is the Shreds videos. Have you ever seen those?
I love those.
Someone please make a Shreds video of Corey Feldman. You wouldn't have to change it that much.
You really wouldn't.
But that's kind of what her guitar playing reminded me of. And it almost seems like the Today Show is trying to kind of make Corey Feldman a thing now. I mean, I know that his video went viral, and I'm sure that they didn't expect the kind of reaction that they got from it, or maybe they did. Who knows? But it definitely seems like that was their intention this time around.
This time, definitely.
Yeah. And here's the deal. They all have YouTube channels. They all get revenue from YouTube.
Yep.
So maybe they're just like, well, he was really super viral the last time, so let's do it again this time and see if we can make another couple $1,000 off of a widely viewed video. But the song itself, I mean, what did you think?
I mean, it's slightly better than the first one, I think, but it's still pretty terrible.
He's really proud of that one, like, get up off the ground and... Because he does it like 5 times in the song. And him and the bass player have a little dual solo kind of thing. A duet, if you will. How long do you think it's going to be before we start seeing Corey Feldman in the like karaoke song lists?
Oh my God. No, I'm just thinking about it. Going out this Thursday and doing some Corey Feldman.
Let's email our favorite karaoke DJ and see if he can find us one. Because with the viral sensation that the first one was, I'm sure someone's working on it already. But what do you think? Do you think Corey Feldman can actually have a real music career, or is it just going to be seen as a joke? Oh, Corey Feldman's on the Today Show acting dumb again. How dumb does this song sound like?
If he was talented, he might have a decent shot at doing a thing, but he is not.
It seems to me like he's just a joke.
I mean,
and
yeah, and at that point though, like it kind of sucks of the Today Show to keep, trying to feed off of his absurdity.
But I mean, isn't that what we're doing right now
Well,
by
of course
even
it is.
talking about
But
it?
we're not
going to
make nearly as much money as the Today Show will.
That's the understatement of the year. We made 7 cents off our Corey Feldman video.
We'll see what we do this time.
Yeah.
But no.
Let's shoot for 8.
Oh, damn. You're going big. You're going ham right now.
But the song was called Take a Stand. It's an inspirational song about just, getting up off the ground, taking a stand, for what you believe in kind of thing. And at the end, he brings out the smallest American flag on a stick. Like one you'd get at Walmart for $1.
Yeah.
And he waves it around a little bit and then he
just
throws it.
Yeah.
He just throws it on the ground. I'm all about America for this 5 seconds and then boom. There's your flag. So I'm sure a lot of Trump supporters were probably up in arms about that. It's going to be the next
disrespecting the flag. He's the next Colin Kaepernick.
That Corey Feldman threw my American flag down on the ground, man, and it's just, oh my God. How disrespectful of him. I used to admire Corey Feldman.
But then, of course, Tamron Hall did come up and pick up the flag and
Right,
hand it back
that
to
was
him.
the first thing she did. She picked up the flag and she's like, "Yeah, you dropped this." And he's
Don't do that.
Yeah, and the striptease kind of thing that he does, and this is the second time he's done it.
Yeah.
He starts off with the dumb-looking hoodie. Okay,
It
this one
looks
was
like
gold.
It looks like
White
a
and gold.
spacesuit.
He looks like the freaking Gold Ranger, dude. Remember?
Yes.
With the white and the
Motherfucking
gold?
Tommy.
Yeah, he looks like the Gold Ranger. It's just so odd, and awkward. Like he throws the hood off first, and then while he's singing, where he could have done this during a guitar solo or a musical break, but while he's singing, he's awkwardly unzipping his jacket and takes it off. And while he's still singing, he pulls his ponytail out, so his hair falls down. But then for the rest of the song, he's constantly moving the hair out of his eyes.
Yeah.
Thus negating the point of having your hair tied back. Is so your hair doesn't get in your eyes. Corey Feldman, come on. Do you even long hair at all?
Speaking as someone that does have long hair.
Hey, I used to have long hair too. You put that shit up and then you don't take it down until you're ready.
It stays up all freaking
now,
day.
hey, let me ask you this, and before we move on to the next topic, because I've pretty much talked about Corey Feldman all I want to. But since you've had long hair, how many girls ask you what kind of shampoo you use?
None.
None?
Not
I
one.
got that question so often when I had long hair. Maybe
No,
mine was just more luxurious than yours.
I don't think that's true at all.
Okay.
You've seen my hair. It's luscious.
Time will tell. Let's move on. Rockstar Games just today
And
teased
it's
us all.
It's so teasery because there is no information whatsoever.
It could be a brand new IP, but a lot of people online are saying this is it. This is confirmation, double confirmed that a Red Dead Redemption sequel is on the way. They changed all their logos on social media to the regular Rockstar logo, but it's all tattered and torn and red. And the color red is in the title. What more do you need?
That's plenty. That's plenty for the entire internet.
Did you ever play Red Dead Revolver?
I never played Revolver.
Red Dead Revolver is a wildly different game.
Yeah.
It's a shooting game. Red Dead Redemption is more of a GTA style game, but set in a Western setting.
Yep.
Now, they already did that. Not Rockstar Games, but a game called Gun on the PS2, which is a fantastic game. I still own it. If you ever want to play, we can play it together.
Nice.
But yeah, so Red Dead Redemption was a huge hit when it came out. I loved the game. Came out for PS3, and they're teasing a sequel. And if there was any game, any intellectual property that would be just amazing for Rockstar to put out right now, it would be another Red Dead game.
Yeah.
We've gotten 5 GTAs and a few offshoots, like with San Andreas and Vice City, and even the early games like the GTA London and all that kind of stuff. But this, let's get a Red Dead Redemption game and do what they did with GTA 5. Make it online.
Well, okay, so Red Dead Redemption had
Think
online.
about it. You could be a posse.
No, Red Dead Redemption had online.
But,
did you never play it?
No.
Like, it was awesome. I played the shit out of Red Dead Redemption online.
But Red Dead Redemption Online, like GTA 5 Online.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty similar. Like, there were
I
levels.
don't believe you.
Yeah, no, straight up, man. You could level up, and once you reached a certain level, you could load out with more powerful weapons. But the powerful weapons were already on the map, so you could just go like find the Mauser pistol and just fucking shoot everything to death all the time.
I'll have to take your word for it, Chris.
It was awesome. Actually, Red Dead Redemption is now backwards compatible on Xbox One, so I might have to load that up and see if they still have the online servers still.
Well, I remember when GTA came on online, GTA 5, it was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be way more stuff that you can do in GTA Online than you could have done in a Red Dead Redemption Online.
Yeah.
You at least concede that.
Oh, of course.
Topic or point.
Because I played GTA 5 online, and it was awesome.
Right. So what kind of things do you think you could do in a Red Dead Online game, though?
Yeah. I mean...
You could have like Magnificent Seven style shootouts.
That could be pretty awesome.
You could try and take over small towns.
I mean, holding up banks with
base
a posse.
Building. Come on, man. Oh yeah, bank heists, but back in the day, like Western style bank heists. And I've still got the Magnificent Seven on the mind. Maybe you could be that criminal who goes into a town and makes everyone do what the fuck you want, and get like a bounty on it. Oh, dude, bounty hunting in a Red Dead game online. How cool would that be?
I'm pretty sure that was in Redemption Online.
I don't play a lot of online games. I usually play single player games. Don't fault me for that. I know you're listening to this, folks, both of you, and you're thinking, like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
All two of the people that are listening.
This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But, you know, I played the single-player campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they'll do another Undead Nightmare on that?
Ooh, that would be interesting. I loved the Undead Nightmare expansion.
And do you think it would carry on the same story, like with some of the same characters, or James Marsden's son?
Like, I hated Jack.
Yeah.
I hated Jack Marsden. Like, when he became an adult, like, spoiler alert, at the end, Marston gets killed, and you take over playing as his son like 20 years later, whatever.
Unexpected.
Yeah. And so then
spoiler
you're still
alert
wondering...
for a 10, 12-year-old game.
Exactly. But yeah, like, I was like, once I couldn't play as Marston anymore, I was like, well, fuck this. I played through the story. I don't need to do anything else.
Right. It's gonna be interesting to see, and hopefully we'll hear something about it in the coming weeks that we can continue to talk about it. But for right now, possibly,
potential,
maybe. What are some of your favorite Rockstar games?
Ooh, that's a good one. Shoot us comments, emails, tweets, all that good stuff.
Smoke signals.
Yeah, we are talking about Red Dead.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, telegrams.
Although
Pony Express,
we will have to tip the kid a quarter if they send a telegram.
There you go. Red Dead Redemption sequel on the way.
Potentially.
Hopefully.
Either way, Rockstar they do great. I like their stuff.
Right. Well, I think the only Rockstar game I've never played is Bully.
Yeah, I've never played that one either.
I should play that. Apparently it was wildly protested in the UK for some reason. Let's move on. Last week in South Park. Remember South Park? It was back. Unfortunately, this time around, we didn't get any more of the giant douche versus Hillary Clinton versus the turd sandwich, which hopefully they're working on that right now, because so many crazy things have happened in the election, which we'll get into later, just in the past week.
I was surprised that they didn't touch on the debate at all.
They did throw in a line from Gerald when he's talking to the troll guy.
Right.
That his trolling was locker room talk.
I did.
And I was like, oh, I see what you did there, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And he was trying to justify it. So what happened in South Park last week is that the men are starting to rebel.
Yeah.
The boys in the school are starting to rebel against the girls. They all broke up with them. Butter's girlfriend broke up with him. And they're starting to get they're starting to fight back. They're starting to push back. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think that has a lot of parallels to what's going on right now, like the men's rights movement, the MGTOWs and everything that are kind of pushing back against the SJW crowd. And a lot of the talk in the news, especially with the election, about women being silenced and groped and all this kind of stuff. The men who you could liken those boys to Trump supporters, or just disenfranchised peoples of the country, violently or standing out and protesting with, their wieners out. That's how they do it in South Park.
Yeah.
Now, Gerald, who at the end of the last episode, we saw that he was kind of flipping out. Protocol Zero has been engaged. He threw out all of his electronics, and he's kind of going through these withdrawals, and he's been getting these notes saying, we know who you are and all this kind of stuff. So he's freaking out, and he thinks that it's, probably the Swedish government or something like that.
Right.
Well, it turns out that he's been contacted by a group of trolls. And what was it? Dildo Schwaggins is the name of the...
Dildo Schwaggins.
Dildo Schwaggins is the name of the troll that contacts him, and they're just like, you're the best troll, and he's like, no, it's just locker room talk, and they're like, come on, Skank Hunt, and he's like, can you just call me Gerald? And if you kind of think about it, that's someone that goes to extremes online under that guise of anonymity, but yet doesn't want to be held accountable for the things that they say in person.
In real life.
So I think there's definitely some parallels that you could draw from that of things that are happening these days. Because, trolling is an issue. Yeah. Online cyberbullying is an issue. And doxing is an issue. And in the episode, you've got the Swedish government talking about this new computer program that they've got coming out where you just put in the troll's handle and it'll give you all their information, like a map to their house, and shows cops busting in on these trolls. And the reporter, of course, asks him well, what if it's just a non-troll that they put in? And he's being put on the spot, and he's like, no, it will only be used for trolls. So that's got all the other trolls scared. Meanwhile, Cartman, having seen his first real vagina in person, is really turning a new leaf. He is an advocate for women now. He's still wearing the Tokens Life Matters shirt, so he's a Black Lives Matter sympathizer, I guess you would say. He's out of it, and that's what him and his girlfriend both say. He's like, we're out of it, Kyle. Yeah. And I think that Cartman and girlfriend dynamic, especially since Cartman's the only boy in school that has his girlfriend now. How crazy is that?
It's the weirdest freaking thing.
But I think that dynamic kind of represents where a lot of us are in America. A lot of us right now are Cartman and his girlfriend. We're out of it. Yeah. That's those people who aren't the extreme SJW types who are going to great lengths to get what they want, but they're also not the extreme opposite that's pushing back against it. Yeah. It's like the boys and the girls. You've got, this boy and girl who found their common ground and have been able to get along with each other, and now I guess are a thing, like a romantic item, and they're just like, we're out of it. The social media breeds these bad things, these bad qualities in us, and this is better for us.
You can't be trolled with anything if you don't online. Have an online presence.
Right. So I think that kind of speaks volumes, and I've watched the episode twice, and I'm going to try and do that each one, because the last time I wasn't too, I didn't really member that much. But speaking of the member berries...
member berries coming back.
Member berries coming back, and...
Support groups.
Support groups for member berries. Led by
Randy
Stan's
Marsh.
dad. Yeah. So they obviously understand that there's an issue, okay? They're starting to wake up, get woke to the issue that the member berries are kind of controlling their...
perception
thought process.
Yeah.
And also, big shocker, Gerald's wife pisses on him in the bed, and Kyle and Ike walk in on it and see it. So how's that going to play out? Are they going to be just traumatized for life from this? And Kyle joins the boys group too, and they called him Uncle Kyle a lot.
A little Uncle Tom reference,
right? Yeah, and an Uncle Tom, if for those of you who aren't aware, and I swear to God, this is the true definition, is a name that is called to a black person who kind of is a puppet for or mouthpiece for white people. See Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks. Yeah. So that's kind of what they're like, Uncle Kyle, you traitor. You're just saying that because you want to get with the girls. And, Kyle hasn't really had a lot of luck with women throughout the history of the show. So... But he ends up finally taking his wiener out, and he's joined the boys in their revolt.
Hashtag wieners out, by the way.
Wieners out. So it's really... I love kind of watching this story play out and being able to kind of be in the moment and in the present and be able to draw all those parallels between what's going on in the show and what's going on in real life.
Exactly.
Whereas before, I know I said it in a couple of other episodes, I would kind of used to just wait till the series was done and then binge watch it, but I think it's even better experience doing it week to week.
Oh yeah.
Especially right now with everything crazy that's going on, and we'll talk about that later. But let's go ahead and move on.
All right.
This may be a short episode. We're already second to last topic, and we're only about 26 minutes in, but it's okay.
Wow.
It's okay. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about. So I had the pleasure yesterday evening of seeing you perform on stage in a local theater production of The Odd Couple. And I enjoyed it very much.
Well,
First off, your performance was very good, and I would say probably one of the better out of the rest. And I'm not trying to like downplay anything. Of course this is community theater. We're not expecting Tony Award winning performances. You know, this is community theater. This is a volunteer kind of thing. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I had never seen The Odd Couple, like the original movie or the stage play. My experience with The Odd Couple came from the original television series.
Tony Randall,
Tony
Klugman.
Randall and Jack Klugman, and I used to watch it on Nick at Night. So that's kind of all I knew. And I knew who Felix was. I knew who Oscar was. So I understood the dynamic between the two. And it was kind of surprising to me that you got cast as Felix.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you're a little bit more of an Oscar.
Oh, I am completely Oscar in real life. Which the funniest thing, though, is my co-star, who was playing Oscar, very much a Felix.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That is interesting. But so what I decided to do after I saw your performance of it is I watched the movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, and then I watched a couple of episodes. There's a new Odd Couple on television
with
right now.
Matthew Perry and Tom Lennon.
Are
they still making
that?
I thought it was canceled after the second season.
I looked it up and it got renewed for a third season.
Wow.
So it's already about to start its third season. It's a sitcom, you know, the 22-minute sitcom.
And I do love Tom Lennon's version of Felix.
Right.
And Matthew Perry does a great job with Oscar, too. I just couldn't really get into it because I only watched like the first episode or two.
Right, I watched the first two episodes back to back, and it was interesting to see some of the lines and premises from the original portrayed in that modern setting. And here's one thing I noticed was in the play, he talks about the notes, you know. Yeah. We're out of cornflakes, F you. And he's like, it took me a while to realize F you stood for Felix Unger, which that line really surprised me that line would have been wrote in the 60s and performed. I don't recall that in the Walter Matthau movie. I don't recall that line in it. And I noticed there were a few, scenes that take place in different places. Of course, you're not going to have the whole movie set in Oscar's apartment. Right. But and of course, you're going to add and expand a little bit, but it was very faithful. But I did notice a few lines here and there were either changed or different. Now, I don't know if you guys changed it or what. Like, instead of asking for a 7-Up, he asked him if he wanted a root beer or something like that. So anyway, The Odd Couple movie came out in the late 60s, all right, and has managed to have a lot of staying power. Here it is, 2016, and we're talking about it right now. I just saw it live last night. There's a new series now. Apparently there was a series that came out in the 80s called The Odd Couple, or like The New Odd Couple, and it starred two black gentlemen playing Felix and Oscar. Never saw it. Couldn't really find a lot of information on it, even though I didn't really look that hard either. There was also a show called The Oddball Couple in the 80s, which was animated with a dog and a cat. There was a stage production called like The Female Odd Couple, where it was basically the roles of Oscar and Felix as
that's
women.
The thing. Neil Simon actually wrote that.
Right.
He wrote
and
the
apparently,
gender swap version.
And then there was another stage production in the 90s where it was more of like an updated, more modern Odd Couple written by Neil Simon as well.
I've never read that one.
Right. So, and there was also a TV movie that came out with Jack Klugman and Tony Randall. And I totally forgot that this happened, but there was an Odd Couple too that came out in the 90s. And once I saw the picture of the movie poster, I was like, I remember when that came out. Of course, I never saw it. Yeah. Apparently it got very bad reviews and did not do very well. But what makes it... why do you think that The Odd Couple has so much staying power, that story?
I mean, it's very relatable. I am divorced. You are divorced.
Yes,
we are both divorced.
Divorced men.
Yeah. And of course, that's kind of the crux of that story. It's the only reason those two move in together in the first place. They both are divorced.
Right.
Oscar gets divorced about 3 months before the play starts, and on the night of the first poker game at the beginning of the show, Felix has been kicked out of his house by his wife, and he is getting divorced.
And about to kill himself.
He does not react well to bad news.
He doesn't. I think that, and I looked this up because I saw the parallel there, but I think the No Fault Divorce Act, or basically it was the amendment to some divorce law that would basically allow you to get a divorce without showing proof of wrongdoing in the relationship. Whereas before, it was a lot harder to get divorced. And I think that's one of those things that so many people can relate to, because what is it, like 1 in 3 marriages end in divorce? Maybe even
I was
1
about
in
to say,
2?
I thought it was almost 50%.
Almost. And so that's definitely something a lot of people can relate to, because when you really look at the play and the movie, it's really about 2 guys coming to terms with being divorced. And of course you have the dichotomy of the
slovenly versus the fastidious.
Right. And so that's laughable. And you can you see pieces of yourself in Felix and in both Oscar.
Oh,
because,
absolutely.
I mean, hey, I like to kick back and have a good time, and I'm not the cleanest person in the world, but also I like to cook. I know what a ladle is. So
you know where your kitchen is.
Yes, I am very aware of where my kitchen is, and I spend a lot of time in it. So I think just the way that you can easily relate to those characters, and the fact that it kind of deals with that kind of modern subject, which back in the day, back when there was a line, there was a line in the play or in the movies like, oh, there's 100,000 people get divorced every year, and I was like, or maybe the 100,000 people are divorced, but I was like, it's way more than that now.
Yeah.
And without going down and looking up the divorce statistics, you'd have to know, though, that it's very prevalent, and probably for good reason. Maybe people get married a little bit too quickly. I know I sure as hell did.
Likewise.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things, and I don't know, we could get off into a tangent about marriage, and I'd rather not. But let's keep it on The Odd Couple. So the movie was one of your favorites. You used to do, I guess, for drama class or something, excerpts from The Odd Couple. Now, did you do Felix, or did you do
I did
Oscar?
Felix in the humorous duets that I did in high school.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite lines from the show? or parts of the show?
Okay, so Act 2, Scene 2, when the girls come for the date, and I am just sitting and
being all awkward.
Yeah,
trying to make conversation with them.
Yep. That without question, my favorite scene in the entire show.
Really?
I have so much fun doing that.
I think my favorite part from last night's performance was you guys are getting in your big fight where he's about to kick you out. And you're like, let me tell you something. And then you say all these
nice things
to him, but in this tone that's very combative and aggressive. And he's like, I'm not even sure you're even insulted. It's like, are you insulting me? What was his line? Or I'm not sure you even know how to fight. That was from the movie.
Yeah.
Was not sure you know how to fight, but I think it was different in the play.
Yeah, in the play, I think he says, if I was just insulted or attacked, I think I might have missed it.
Yeah. So it's just those kind of things that are great. Now, I would love to see that play performed with an updated, more modern spin on it.
I could see that.
It's not 30 cents for a pack of cigarettes.
38 cents for a pack of cigarettes. I would have so many cigarettes.
I would have all the cigarettes in the world. $120 was his half the rent on an 8-bedroom apartment in New York City.
In New York City. Good Lord. 1962 must have just been like...
Yeah, but how much money did they make back then? What was the minimum wage? Was there a minimum wage?
Well, okay, so Oscar has a line where he's talking about being 3 weeks behind on his alimony payments.
Right.
And he says, I'm $800 behind in alimony.
Okay.
So 3 weeks at $800, I mean, that's what, 230
I
some?
can't do math.
I can't
What
do
are you,
math
crazy?
Whatever. But, I mean, he must make a shit ton of money then. I mean, he even has his line where he says, I'm one of the highest paid sports writers on the East Coast.
Right.
And I've saved $8.50 in pennies.
Yeah. So,
but if his alimony check is $250 every week, he must be making a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and so should Felix, right?
Yeah, because he writes the news for CBS.
But their whole thing is about saving money.
Yeah.
You know, I've managed to save money because we haven't been eating out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a dinner for 4, cooking it at home would have saved them $30 to $40.
$30 to $40, which, I mean, like, that's... depending on what kind of a restaurant you go,
They're taking them to like a 5-star restaurant or something back in the day. It might be $40 for 4 people. Who knows?
Maybe.
It's $5 in the movie. It shows him checking into the hotel. It was $5 a night.
What?
Yeah, it was like $5. And then they're like, "Do you have anything higher than the 3rd floor?" And he gives him a key to the 9th floor bedroom, and it, playing on the narrative that he's going to kill himself.
Right.
So it's funny. Now in the new series, Thomas Lennon's Felix didn't really seem suicidal in that first episode. So I guess they kind of toned that down a little bit, and they do mention suicide quite a bit in the play and the movie. So I'm kind of wondering why they decided to go with that.
Yeah, there is a lot that during the production of this play that I noticed about the script itself.
Right,
I mean,
very adult.
It's very, I mean...
For that time?
Yeah, very adult while still
and those
trying
British
to maintain
sisters are whores.
Yeah, they are.
They are sluts. Dirty sluts. The
but
pigeon
like,
sisters.
there's a
I'm
lot
not
of...
slut-shaming. I love
No,
sluts.
of course not, yeah. But like, there's a lot of misogyny.
Right.
There's a lot of shit-talking on people who commit suicide.
Right.
Like... I mean, it's very not PC.
And in the movie, okay, so speaking of like, grab her by the pussy, the Trump whole thing, in the movie, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon they go to a diner, and they do one of those scenes in the diner, and he's hitting on the waitress who is married, and he kind of like, grabs her ass as she's walking by, and he's like, "Hey, you never know unless you try," and it was like, so we're definitely in a very different time. A very different time. Because I was like, that was a sexual assault joke. And it's weird now that I'm even like aware of that kind of stuff by the whole, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good outcome of the SJW movement and of the feminism and stuff like, Trump's lewd comments in the news. Because back then, he probably would have gotten away with it a lot more if he had said something like that.
I mean, that was probably his entire youth, was doing just shitty shit
he is
like
old
that.
as fuck.
He's
I mean,
71,
of course,
I think.
We don't want to be making excuses for him.
No, of course not.
And that's one of my
reprehensible human being.
And I hate hearing that kind of stuff about, oh, well, that's just, they're old fashioned. That's just what they believe. That's a horrible argument for somebody. It is. So I guess this is the natural progression of the show, because we're going to have to get into it now.
Yeah.
All right. So the 2016 odd couple, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Do you like what I did there?
I do.
So after this last week was the first time we'd ever really talked about the ongoing election in the podcast. And I mean,
we'd shit talked Trump before, but like just in passing.
Well, it's getting scary now. And and maybe we could just do a little weekly update up until the election. That might be fun.
Might as well.
So after the grab her by the pussy remark came out, and he tried his best to deflect it by saying it was locker room talk. Now a lot of
I just love how many like professional athletes have come out and said,
like,
we spend our entire time in locker rooms and we have never heard any of this shit because we're not fucking assholes.
They basically gave a collective nuh-uh to Donald Trump. So a lot of women now have come out with all these allegations about Donald Trump sexually assaulting them or coming on to them. And during the debate, he brought out 4 of Bill Clinton's accusers and held like a press conference, and then had them sitting in the debate. How fucked up was that? That he would do that? That he would stoop that low? Okay. Now I understand that that's Hillary's husband, Bill, and he was embroiled in a lot of these similar sex scandals. Of course, we never had any audio tape of Bill Clinton saying fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And he was never convicted of a crime.
No.
Okay, he also never admitted to it on tape either. So that's the difference. And everybody's like, well, Bill Clinton did this. Bill Clinton did this. First of all, Bill Clinton was never convicted, and we don't have any video evidence of him doing anything.
Also, Bill Clinton's not running for president.
And yeah, you're right. Bill Clinton is totally not running for president. His wife is. So you've got all these women coming out now that are saying, they're just, saying these things that happened either on a plane 30 years ago or an Apprentice contestant came out against him, and with Gloria Allred.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I mean, and that makes me think the fucking gloves are off. Gloria Allred doesn't really support people unless she knows she can win a case.
Oh yeah.
But they said they weren't pursuing legal action, but these things could change.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Donald Trump in this debate against Hillary Clinton. He marches out these former accusers of Bill Clinton. And then during the debate, he acts like a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed? He's like, well, she didn't get to speak as much, or I didn't get to speak as much
really
as her.
Did.
And then, and he made that remark. You know what I'm about to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she's like, well, I'm glad you weren't president then. He's like, because if I were, you'd be in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's really fucked up to say.
And he talks like,
in a debate,
as soon as I'm president, she's going to jail.
Right. And he's saying that, the media is poisoning the minds of the voters, which, of course, there is going to be some bias depending on what you watch. Like, if you watch MSNBC, you're probably a little left-leaning.
Yeah.
If you watch Fox News, you're definitely a conservative.
Yeah.
And it's not fair and balanced. They're all funded by... Rupert Murdoch owes Fox News.
Yeah.
So it's his viewpoint is what's going to be broadcast to the people that watch that show.
Yeah.
And it's getting scary, man, because Trump is going on and on in his speeches about how he believes that the election is going to be rigged. And you have Trump supporters that are telling reporters that if Trump doesn't win, that they are going to revolt, and that there will be bloodshed, and that they will do what they have to do because they love their country, and that Hillary Clinton should be shot. And you have Trump saying that he thinks the election is going to be rigged and that his people should go to other polling places and to keep an eye on things. And I'm reading on like Reddit and in other comments that these Trump supporters are saying, yeah, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be armed and I'm going to make sure. They're like, I'm not going to do anything illegal, but I'm going to make sure that everything's on the up and up and people are voting legally. And I mean, sounds like there's going to be some voter intimidation, which is a federal crime. And it's just scary to me. It's really frightening that his supporters have such little respect for the democratic process that they would be willing to not only try to influence an election, like by force and aggression, but also openly admit that if their person does not win, that they're prepared to take up arms against their own country's leadership.
Well,
and that should frighten every single American.
Well, and I will just play devil's advocate very briefly, because they have been fed this line of thought that the government, corporations, anyone that is basically Donald Trump, but not Donald Trump,
right,
because obviously he's the only guy fighting for us.
Right.
Anyone that is that wealthy, that has that much power and influence over the government, it's all corrupt. And they keep being fed this line over and over again. And they have been for the last 25 years, 30 years, 35 years. They've been this has been shoveled into their faces for I remember 3 decades.
My dad was a Rush Limbaugh fan back in the day. I don't know if he still is, but I remember watching Rush Limbaugh's television show with him shortly after Bill Clinton was elected, and he would begin every show, America held hostage, day 34, or whatever, and it's just that kind of rhetoric and that kind of language that you're being force-fed for years and years and years. It's got to do something to your brain.
It turns you into a completely unreasonable you can't understand any other viewpoints.
Right, and you're letting your emotions guide you. And it's just, it's a scary time to be an American because, I mean, if the polls that I'm seeing are to be believed, and if you go to websites like 538.com, where right now it's showing that Donald Trump maybe has a 14% chance of winning against Hillary Clinton's 80+%.
Yeah.
So it's looking like Donald Trump is going to lose spectacularly. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a landslide loss.
I mean, and he is not helping himself with anything he says, anything he does, and anything that anyone digs up about anything he said or done in the past.
What's going to happen when he loses? And he's been feeding this rhetoric to his diehard supporters that already have to have something wrong with them because they're supporting. Because it's like, do you not see like the things that he says? So what's going to happen? When he loses, he's basically setting the stage for a contested election. He's setting the stage for him never conceding the election. He's going to be, I didn't really lose the election. It was rigged and all this kind of stuff. He's already setting the stage for that. He's setting the stage for a defeat and to push the blame onto someone else. So it's not his fault.
Yeah.
But what is that going to do to his supporters? Are there people out there that are crazy enough to start taking up arms against their government? And what's going to happen because of that? Because our military will get called in to squash that real quick, especially if like 10,000 armed civilians march on somebody. They'll call in the National Guard. They'll do what has to be done to save the rest of the people. And I know that the majority of Americans wouldn't do that. But what happens if you get 10, 20,000 people that are that unhinged? I saw a comment that a Trump supporter had left, and they said Trump should raise an army and take the White House by force. That's treason.
Yeah.
That is treason. That is the most un-American thing that somebody can say, is let's take it by force. And it's a really scary time to be alive, and it's really scary that so many Americans are buying into this. That so many Americans still in 2016 have these, are that racist and that visceral hatred for the opposition, for Hillary Clinton, which of course she's not perfect. She's not.
Of course not.
And is she going to be a perfect president? No. But like I said last week, this isn't a risk that I can take, man.
Of course not.
It's the political equivalent of buying a lottery ticket. And hoping you're going to hit it big, and the odds are so far against you that I don't know. It's a crazy time to be alive, man.
Okay, so you remember that pretty blonde evil fucking human being Tommy Lahren?
Yes.
Yeah. So after the Trump comments came out last week before the debate, I guess now almost 2 weeks ago, but she released a video like defending him.
Right.
Like how?
Yeah, because she says every guy does it. She's like, come on, get real. Every guy talks like that. And even Ben Carson, I saw an interview with him where he's talking to this reporter from the BBC, and she's like, do you believe these women are lying? And he tried to skirt the question, and she just kept going, and he's like, can we turn her microphone off? And then he's like, it doesn't matter if they're lying or not. Ben Carson.
What?
Right. And it just makes me wonder, because it's like, remember when Barack Obama got elected? A lot of people from the right would say, well, he only got elected because he's black. Well, if that's the truth, then why isn't Ben Carson your nominee?
Yeah.
Right? But anyway,
because he's a walking Xanax.
But I think that the racial tension is going to have to boil over at some point. You had Black Lives Matter, and then all of a sudden now you've got Trump and all this kind of stuff. So that's gonna stir that hatred. Okay,
I mean, the white nationalism behind Trump is mind-boggling.
Right.
Like, it's very, very similar to 1938 Germany.
Right, and that's the thing, is like, everyone's like, oh, Godwin's law, Trump's literally Hitler and everything, but like, yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
But Hitler didn't...
It's called history.
Here's the thing, Hitler didn't win an election. His party won a lot, and then he was elected as... maneuvered himself into a position to where once they did finally overthrow, he was moved in. But he actually lost his election.
Yeah.
And a failed coup attempt before he rose to power. And so I really hope that these kind of things don't happen. I really hope that the majority of Americans aren't that stupid. And it looks like because of the polls they are. Now, here's what I want to say for anybody that's listening to this at all. if you plan on voting and you see somebody, even if you're planning on voting Republican, if you see anybody intimidating voters, call the police. Start recording them with your cell phone. Go in groups if you are a minority. I mean, and it sucks to say that. It's 2016 and it sucks that we have this kind of worries going on, but go in groups, report things that you see, find links to these election watch groups or whatever. That you can report things to. Call the police, call the sheriff if someone's there, and if they're intimidating voters, do something about it.
Yeah.
Don't let someone intimidate you from voting. And if you think that it's going to be harmful for you to vote, try and get an early ballot.
They do that in a lot of states now. I'm not sure if our state is one that you can do that in, but
I don't know. But I mean, you and I are both white dudes, so
yeah, we're gonna be fine.
I mean, we're gonna be fine. And I'm not voting for Donald Trump,
right?
But
though, for anyone of our listenership that is planning to vote for Donald Trump, do not forget, Election Day is November 25th.
November 28th.
Was it 20?
Yeah, that's what
28th.
Donald Trump said. It was November 28th. So here's a good way to remember the Election Day. It's the same day that his hearing starts for the Trump University fraud.
Yeah. What about the one where he raped a 12-year-old girl? When does that one start?
There's a hearing set in December for that. So imagine this. If Donald Trump wins the presidency,
he will then be on trial.
There's like there's a hearing now,
yeah.
But there's litigation attempting to be attempted while we have a president that's being accused of repeatedly raping an underage girl. A president we have video and audio evidence of him saying that because he's a star, he can get away with sexually assaulting women.
And admitting to sexually assaulting women.
And saying you can do it. They just let you do it. They don't care because you're a star. So just keep that in mind. I really don't think that we're going to change anybody's mind.
Of course
with
not.
This, because I think everyone's mind's already made up. It's hard to imagine that there's such a thing as an undecided voter in this election. Because I think people are either going to vote for Hillary, they're either going to vote for Trump, or they're going to be one of those people who are like, well, I don't want either of them. I'm going to vote for Gary Johnson, or just not to vote at all.
Yeah.
So time will tell. We'll see.
Ken Bone for president.
The Bone Zone.
No, he seems super creepy. He's hilarious, but he seems super creepy.
Well, at least he has the freedom to say things that are super creepy. And those freedoms may get taken away.
Yeah.
If we're not careful.
Yeah.
You don't know. And just, this is one of those situations where I'm like, I really hope that the president doesn't have as much power as they say he does. Because if he does, then, and Donald Trump wins, then heaven help us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gonna do it?
That's gonna do it, man.
All right.
We'll see you next week, episode 11.
And don't forget, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Shoot us an email, dorkagepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Dorkage Podcast.
Is it the Dorkage?
I think so. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, we need to double check that.
We'll double check it. You can find us some way. Just send
follow
us
us
a comment
on Facebook.
YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
You can put comments on anything that you download our show or watch it.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, what he said.